Staffing is not easy, but that's what we do every day, all day. The key to our success is storytelling, asking the right questions to find the right people. Hi, I'm Gary Kane, president of Kane Partners. We want to be your staffing partner.
Some say courage is something you're born with. Others say courage is something you find. In every generation throughout history, courage has been celebrated, sought after, needed. It holds the potential for a life of impact. But what if courage isn't just something you hope for or stumble upon? What if courage is something that can be shaped at a place that inspires you, where leaders invest in you, your community believes in you, and your life becomes something bigger than it could ever be alone?
EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome into the JAKIB Media Halftime Show, and I wish we had better news than just a 2-point lead by the Philadelphia Eagles. And guys, at least it was fun in the first quarter. Second quarter, not so much. We're again looking for adjustments. Now we have some other things that we're going to be highlighting, of course, during the halftime proceedings here, but it does not look good for the Eagles going into halftime. We'll break it down with this amazing crew. We have Kayla Santiago joining this crew here at JAKIB Media, of course. Bill Colarulo is joining us. Bill, we have had the pleasure of doing some shows together already, and you guys know him already from Birds 365, our Eagles insider, John McMullen. John, I'm going to start with you. So far, looking for the adjustments coming out of halftime.
Yeah, I think offensively you have to be disappointed. They got off to that great start the first drive, very Kenny Gainwell heavy. But if you look at it halftime, Mark, Jalen Hurts has 47 passing yards. Where's the passing game? I'm a little surprised at how they've struggled. Obviously, the turnovers, big part of it, why the Eagles have a lead. It seems like the Patriots kind of figured out in the second half, second quarter, late in the second quarter, attack the Eagles' safeties and linebackers in the passing game. That's what I expected with the tight ends. They finally got to it, and they've been successful.
And Bill, on that note, we've seen a lot of Kenny Gainwell so far in this game. There's no question about it. We were talking about it, all of us in the green room, about Kenny Gainwell really being the number one back coming out of this backfield. And he's had success, and then we just haven't seen anything since that first quarter. Bill, what do they need to do to make sure they get that success back in the third quarter?
Well, it's obvious what Belichick's trying to do is he's really not bringing a lot of pressure. He's keeping a lot of corners on the field. There's a lot of secondary players out there. But you look at that first drive, the Eagles had 14-play drive. In the 6 drives since then, they've only had 16 plays. They're averaging 3.3 yards a play. They got to push the ball down the field. You got weapons like Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert. I don't think Goddard even has a target in today's game, so they got to do something to get the ball in their playmakers' hands.
Yeah, and Kayla, when we were talking about it, we've talked a lot about what's been going on so far with the running backs, but Dallas Goedert, a guy who many think is one of the best tight ends in all of football, has not even seen a target so far or even a look going into the second half.
And I'm shocked right now, especially because you can use him on those little slant passes if you wanted to. I know the rain was a factor in that first quarter. Maybe that's why they favored Gainwell just a little bit, but you can't expect to win this ball game if you don't use Dallas Goedert. They came out in the first quarter, they looked good, but then you have to implement more of that offense, and I think they kind of forgot the weapons that they had. Jalen Hurts also maybe a little bit afraid to run in this game, so if that's the case, give it to the weapons that you have. Dallas Goedert, that connection was so pure last year. You got to give him more touches. That's how you win the ball game at the end of the day. Goddard is that guy, and he hasn't shown it just yet.
So far, something they're not tapping into. But when you're looking at kind of this chess match that's going to be going on between the coordinators, I know a lot of us were very curious to see what was going to be going on between Sean Desai and Brian Johnson. Sean Desai's defense, they put up 7 points. You had that great pick six there by Darius Slay being able to take it to the house 70 yards. And now on the offensive side of things, you're waiting for Brian Johnson to try to outmaneuver Bill Belichick now, John.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I do want to mention Jalen Carter defensively because he has been tremendous in the first half generating that pass rush. As you mentioned, not only the Slay play, but also Jordan Davis with the forced fumble that turns into another scoring opportunity for Philadelphia. Now, they just got to sort of temper down on the pass coverage, especially in the middle of the field. Offensively, though, as Kayla pointed out, you got to get your playmakers involved. Look, it's great that Kenny Gainwell's going to be the lead back. He's getting touches. But as Kayla mentioned, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith, these are the difference makers. And you got to find a way to get the football in their hands. Bill Belichick is making that difficult. It's up to Brian Johnson to figure it out.
How much of a test is this, Bill, now for someone who has never called plays at the NFL level, obviously has done it at the college level, but now the guy that he is going up against is only Bill Belichick in this one. So how does he kind of reshuffle the deck and get back to work in the second half?
Well, you look at the personnel that New England Patriots have on the field. They lost Devin McCourty in the offseason. He was their 13-year player. They got a young rookie cornerback in Christian Gonzalez. I don't think it's a rocket science to try to figure out how to exploit some of these younger players on the defensive side of the ball for the Patriots. We were talking about it in the green room. You got to get your playmakers the ball. That is, you're averaging 3.3 yards a play on one of the most explosive offenses in the NFL. It's just been really frustrating to watch. Yeah, I don't know how much it kind of messed up the rhythm. They jump out to that early lead. Sometimes that can actually hurt an offense because you have the pick six, you have the short field. Does that change some of the game plan? The Eagles have to refocus at halftime and come out and get back to getting the ball to their playmakers.
Now let's flip it over back to that defensive side of things here. Nolan Smith, we saw it on one play. Nakobe Dean looks like he is playing his position for the most part well, but Jalen Carter has certainly been the difference. But one of the things I'm really noticing so far in the very early goings, 2 quarters to be exact, Sean Desai seems like he is going to live up to that idea of trying to be a little bit more palpable. There was some more blitzing going on there. Kayla saw the linebackers getting to the backfield. How much of trying to make Mac Jones uncomfortable do you think is going to continue in that second half?
I think they're going to work with what worked in that first half, and I think that you need to do that. Jalen Carter is a guy that's just going to go off. You see what Jordan Davis was able to do as well. That is the strength of the Eagles' defense, and they have to utilize it. But it can't just be a defense game. You can't rely on them to try to get turnovers on the ball. The offense needs to help a little bit. I've liked what I've seen so far. That's what I wanted to see a little bit more maybe in the Super Bowl last year.
Of course,
if I'm going to be quite honest with you. We're already seeing it in week 1. Now, I'm not going to hold my praises there.
Always about the Super Bowl.
I'm not going to hold my praises week 1, but I will say I would like to see a little bit of the same thing in the second half. Let those guys work.
All right, John, I know the buzzword was blitz. The buzzword was aggression last year, especially with Jonathan Gannon. In that last drive, or second to last drive that the Patriots had the ball where they scored their first touchdown, there was at least 4 blitzes on that drive. There was a run blitz, there was 2 other linebacker blitzes, and then there was I'll describe it as this, what looked like a very slow developing safety blitz from Reed Blankenship just before he went out of the game briefly for injury there. We are seeing a little bit more of that uptick in aggression from Sean Desai in that first half.
You know, I'll have to look at the film. I hate to go Nick Sirianni. I'd have to look at the film, but I'll say this. It wasn't successful.
No.
I keep going back. The Patriots finally got the football to Hunter Henry, so he had 4 receptions for 44 yards. I look at A.J. Brown, 3 for 18. Devontae Smith, 2 for 7. I mean, Hunter Henry is outproducing both A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Yeah, the Eagles' defense looked really, really good early, but they kind of fell apart late. Does that sound familiar? We're only talking about one half, but it's about consistency throughout the whole game. Now they have to figure out how to stop Mac Jones, who all of a sudden is, 3 times Jalen Hurts in passing yardage. So it's not all peaches and cream because their blitzing wasn't successful. James Bradbury gets beaten on that last touchdown. Be careful what you wish for.
Absolutely. John, I'll ask you this question first, then I'll go around the horn. If you could fish a wish for the second half, what do you want to see the Eagles do?
I want to see him get the football to A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert. Get back to your playmakers. It's nice to try to play with the new toys. Kenny Gainwell, DeAndre Swift. Now you got to go win a football game. You got to rely on your all-pro level players. That's when I I want to see the Eagles do. If they do that, I think they'll win the football game.
All right, Bill, what would you official wish? What happens?
Obviously, you want the offense to play better, but looking at the defensive side of the ball, I want to see this defensive line get a couple sacks on Mac Jones. You have a backup right tackle in Calvin Anderson. He only started 12 games in 3 years for the Denver Broncos, and we have 0 sacks against that offensive line and Mac Jones. So I'd like to see that defensive line get after it a little bit like we saw all last season.
Kayla, what do you need in the second half?
I would like to see Jalen Hurts be a little bit more aggressive. Not necessarily wanting him to get hurt in this situation, but there's been multiple times where he could have extended the run and he's chosen not to and slid down so he doesn't get tackled. I get it. It's week 1. You want to be safe and everything like that, but create plays on your feet. That's what made him successful last year, and maybe that'll give more confidence for the offensive play calling to let it go by him and get those other targets involved.
Certainly. Great points made by all three. I got to go with the offensive side of things here. This is time for Brian Johnson to step up. I mean, if you want to earn your stripes as a play caller in the NFL, then it's really no better person to do it against than Bill Belichick in this instance. So, yes, get everybody involved. It sounds like a great plan. Now it's up to Brian Johnson to be able to dial up the right plays at the right time and make sure these guys are actually able to execute those plays in the second half. That's what I'll be looking for at this time. At halftime, it is 16-14 in favor of your Eagles, hoping they do more than just hold on in this second half. This has been the JAKIB Media postgame show. We'll be back with you guys with the halftime show. We'll be back with you guys for the postgame show, following hopefully what will result in an Eagles victory.